I actually brag to my family about how I don't need a car here. However, somehow, for the first time since about 6 months after I got my driver's license and the thrill of being a new driver wore off, I'm excited about the idea of owning a car. While most of my colleagues drive to school through this in the morning, I take my skateboard along this public path and look at this beautiful view. If I don't feel like taking my skateboard, I might write scripts or study Chinese on the subway, because I don't have to pay attention to the road. This is why I think it's such a big deal that they've taken me, the guy who left Los Angeles because I hated driving so much, and made me want one of their cars. When it comes to Chinese electric cars, there's a ton of options, many of which are relatively cheap. But when you can afford it, the most obvious question becomes, why NIO over Tesla?
Okay, so the first thing that got my attention was the battery swap. And I just thought that was a brilliant idea, you know. It's not your liabilities anymore, basically. So you don't have to worry about the lifetime of the battery. I mean, for most of the other vehicles, once you buy it, the very moment that you purchase the car is the most valuable time of the car. It's the greatest time of the car, and then it's just gonna and the value just gonna decrease over time. And I feel like once I have NIO, it's not really reducing in value. Instead, it can get updated, not just in terms of the software, but also the hardware.
This is something I'd never thought about before. Putting aside the issue of whether or not it's convenient, being able to change the battery takes away the worry about the degradation of the battery over time. This is something even phones still get wrong. My battery in my iPhone started to swell, and even though it was still around 85% capacity, not only could I not change the battery myself without risking damaging the phone, but I had to pay to have it replaced, as if it's my fault the battery started swelling. Yeah, I can't really blame them, but at the same time, make it so I can change it. I don't want to pay you to do it.
You know, the battery and also all the other hardwares as well. Once there's important updates of this hardware, such as the seat, which I'll get into more details later on, you can easily get this, changed, updated.
Yeah, this is also something I never considered. If they release a better or more efficient battery, you don't need to buy a new car to take advantage of it. A quick drive to the nearest battery swap station and you've got the new battery. As the older batteries degrade, you don't have to suffer as your maximum distance gets lower and lower. They'll just recycle the battery cells, make some new batteries, and you've always got peak performance.
Once the capacity of the battery being reduced lower than I believe it's 80%, it's going to be outside the circulation, and instead to be new batteries put it into the circulation instead.
Another point I never considered is the charge time as batteries get bigger.
No matter how fast you charge it, you can charge it. It's only gonna, you can't really beat the speed of changing the battery. As the battery is getting larger and larger in terms of capacity, the battery swap is just going to be more sufficient, because no matter it's 7 kilowatt. So at the moment I've got the 7 kilowatt battery, but you can upgrade it to 100 to 150 later on. And imagine it's probably going to cost you say 150% of the time to charge your 150 kilowatt battery than the 70 kilowatt ones. But for a battery swap, it's only going to take 3-5 minutes anyway. So that kind of takes the time away from your shoulder, and NIO kind of takes care of it for you. So as the batteries technology carry on growing, the advantage is going to be more obvious. Yeah.
China is in a unique situation. They don't have much naturally occurring oil, and therefore they have almost no incentive to stick to gasoline vehicles. They do have access to coal, but that counters their efforts to clean up the air. That leaves authorities with no choice but to push clean energy hard. which means tons of their resources and subsidies are going into battery technology. Even in the US, my mom still drives an over 20-year-old car, and every time she considers buying a new car, she says the same thing. I'm gonna buy an electric car for sure, but the technology is just improving so fast. I'm gonna wait. Wait for what exactly though? It's just gonna keep improving. You may as well, oh, she's probably waiting for NIO to come to the US. Oh, well, in that case, I understand. This is also why electric car infrastructure in general is very well built out already in China. There's dozens of charging stations in my nearby vicinity, hundreds in the districts around me, and thousands in the city as a whole, including well-placed, high-powered chargers and tons of brand-specific chargers.
And that's the battery swap station, which is only 200-300 meters away from us. You see the number of batteries there. There should be 5, so I believe one of the batteries is being swapped at the moment. So there's only 4 shown at the moment. For example, if you put your destination there, which is in Guangxi, that designs the route for you. Say how many times how many times you need to stop and charge or swap the battery. That plans the route for you. I went to there, Kunming, in my ES8 with my dog. Because I took my dog for her date actually. And I've now got 6 puppies. So I drove the car and the dog there. I left the car there and my dog there for a month. I flew back to Shenzhen and then took a train there and picked up the dog and the car. Drove all the way back. On the way back is rather relaxing. We just slept in the car all the way back.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah. I was then taken upstairs to the NIO house. We're gonna see what NIO houses are really all about. But you're gonna have to wait for part 2. Well, not part 2. Part 2 is a completely different video. More like part 0.75. This video ended up being a lot longer than I thought. But before the end of the day, Dennis made sure to give me my first ride ever in a NIO. And Ganghao, he was on his way to a battery wait. How do you say Ganghao in English? I hate it when that happens. Is there a good English way to say that sentence? It's kind of like saying, he gave me my first ride ever in a NIO, and what worked out perfectly was, he was on his way to a battery swap station. Learn some Chinese, why don't ya? I tried to change Nomi's name to James.
我取什么名字呀？
James.
名字很好听呢，但是我还是想要个中文名字，你能给我取一个吗？
Guess they'll have to adjust that for Norway, huh? I was excited to watch the process and squatted down to get a good shot, and was then informed that there's actually a name for this. They call it the NIO squat. Guess that makes sense. Just to clarify, Dennis is an average NIO owner. He was excited to present all the reasons that he loves NIO completely voluntarily. That's how much he appreciates them. I really think that speaks a lot for their company. Thanks for sharing, Dennis. I'm sure everyone appreciates it.